Hey guys, I am here for Makeup and Mental Health Monday. I apologize again for not uploading a video last week, but I had an overwhelmingly emotionally taxing week last week, and I just was not in the headspace to film and record, and it just was not a good situation. I'm now in a much better headspace, and I talked to my professional coach about, the things that were going on. And so after that session last week, I'm feeling a lot lighter. So yeah, so I'm ready to get back to work. This week's video is going to be about somebody you may have heard of, especially if you watch Netflix and you're into true crime and you follow like the true crime documentaries on Netflix. The person I'm going to talk about today was featured in the Netflix docuseries Don't F with Cats is this. So I'm talking today about Luka Magnotta, but that's not his birth name. He changed his name later on in life. My dog is literally tap dancing back and forth. Well, his dad actually was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and so he is a schizophrenic, just like homeboy from last week, or the week before. And who was that? Franklin Floyd. So I'm going to tell his story, and then I will do a separate video where I kind of compare the two and go over what the similarities are between both cases, both people and both crimes. So let's get on with this person, because he's just an awful person. Ugh. Luka Magnotta was actually born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman, and he was born to Anna Yorkman is his mom's name, I believe it was. Anna Yorkman, and his dad's name was Donald Newman. Yeah. Anna Yorkman? I don't know. Anna somebody with a Y. I don't know. She irritated me in that series. I literally could have just skipped through the parts where she was speaking, because she was one of those not my child people. So, but we're going to talk about her in a minute. He was born on July 25th, 1982. He was almost a Cancer. I was like, ooh, we dodged a bullet. But with him, as I go through the story, because he's actually a Leo, but I was instantly able to pick up on, before I even looked at his birthday, I'm like, he sounds completely like a Leo. Sorry, Leo people, but I love y'all. It is, it's actually y'all season right now, but yeah, I knew it, because y'all love the limelight. Y'all love to be the center of attention. And this was like this boy's whole reason for living was to be a star and just be in the center of everybody's attention. So as soon as I saw his whole little situation, I said, yeah, he's a Leo. He was the oldest of three. And like I said, he just had dreams of being a complete, he just knew he was supposed to be a star. He didn't care what nobody said. He really wanted to be a star, but that didn't come until later on in life. He was his mom, Anna Yorkman, was a bit of a clean freak. She was really, really OCD about keeping things clean. So she did not want anything that was not clean in her house, or anything that made a mess, she put out. So that didn't mean even her own children, if her children were in there making a mess, they would have to go outside. She even put their pet rabbit outside in the freezing cold, because I'm assuming because he was, making a mess in the house. But I mean, he's an innocent pet, just like children. So children are innocent. So I'm like, well, I mean, they learn how not to make a mess from their parents. So if they're making a mess and you don't like it, then as the parent, you should teach them to not make a mess. That just seems like that would make sense. But in her twisted little mind, she's just figured, you know, if I put them outside, then I guess they'll learn not to be messy. She also homeschooled them. It's reported that she homeschooled her children. And part of the reason that she homeschooled them, because not only was she like a clean freak, she also was a germaphobe. And so she did not want to send her children to school because she didn't want them coming back with little critters on them and bringing back germs. So she was homeschooling them even though she herself hadn't finished high school. So I was like, I don't know what exactly she was teaching them, but I mean, I guess she could teach them up to high school, you know, or teach them up to the grades that she completed, you know. No shade to nobody who didn't finish high school, because my great grandmother, I think only had a 2nd or 3rd grade education, but was one of the absolute most intelligent people that I know. But this woman, she just seemed like she was just, I don't know. She wasn't my cup of tea, basically. So yeah, so she was homeschooling them, and then their father, Donald Newman, was diagnosed in 1994 with schizophrenia, and shortly after his diagnosis, he decided to split from Anna and move on with his life. He was like, I had enough of this, and so he split. So after that caused them to have to move in with their grandmother, and it just seemed like the living with the grandmother wasn't really the best situation either. She wasn't much better than the mama. But upon moving with the grandmother, they started going to public school, and public school is where Luka began to be, or Eric, which is his birth name, began to be bullied a lot. And according to the documentary, his mom was like, yeah, it was just relentless bullying. Like, it was so bad that, according to her, they ended up pulling him out of school because the bullying was so bad. Bullying, as we know, is really a it definitely changes the child's life, because it stays with you. Bullying absolutely stays with you even as an adult, even into your adult life. So I can only imagine. And so he finally gets through grade school and all of that, and he starts to notice that, or the kid starts to notice, he starts to present himself as gay. He starts to recognize and realize that he's gay. He's attracted to men. And from there, as he gets older, he decides he's gonna go into doing, you know, pornographic movies and become an escort. He just was literally just spreading himself all over the place. He just like, who wants some, come and get it, pretty much is how he felt after he, you know, became of age. In 2000 though, he was diagnosed, just like his father, with schizophrenia. And his father was the one that actually kind of noticed something and wanted, it's the one that kind of got him help and said, yeah, you need to go and see a psychiatrist, because I'm assuming his father must have been seeing some of the same traits and characteristics in his son that he had been having. And so his father, which is really a noble thing, you know, reached out and made sure that he got his son the help that he needed. He was like taking his medicine and I guess doing what he wanted to do, and then eventually, like most folks, a lot of people do, they start feeling better, and then they stop taking the meds, and then, you know, all hell breaks loose. So that's what kind of the beginning of the end, in my opinion, is what happened with Eric here. But he did later on, I believe in 2006, I believe he changed his name to Luka Magnotta. And Lord Jesus, he just unleashed a whole bunch of hell on the earth after this name. So in his early adulthood, he started doing these little criminal acts. He started doing a lot of fraudulent stuff, like stealing credit cards and identity theft, things of that nature. And, you know, of course he got caught and then got sentenced to, I'm not sure how he works because he was in Canada. So I'm not sure what the law is over there, but I guess they gave him like a conditional jail sentence. I guess granted that he didn't get out. You know, he kept himself clean and with no trouble getting in trouble. Why can't I speak? Like what? He stopped getting in trouble while he was doing this during this I just said the word, like I literally just said it. During the what? The conditional sentence. The conditional jail sentence is what I said, right? Okay, child, I don't know. Well, during his conditional jail sentence, well, as long as he didn't get in any trouble, I'm assuming, because I'm not familiar with Canadian law, but he also was sentenced to probation as well. I think a year of probation. So as long as he kept out of trouble, he wouldn't have to do any jail time, which I thought was a little, I don't know. I thought that was a little too nice. Because I'm like, he just, you know, you out here committing fraud and crime and stuff. I think you need to feel it a little bit, you know, just like a little slap on the wrist. And, you know, Canadian laws just seem to be very, very marshmallowy. If I get in trouble anywhere in the world, I guess I might want to be in Canada when I get in trouble, because it's like they just kind of just give you a little smack on the hand. He did all of that. He also ultimately ended up, you know, like I said, changing his name, and then shortly after changing his name, he filed for bankruptcy because he was like 17 grand in debt. I'm just like, God, dog, dude, like what were you doing? But some of that debt was attributable to him having multiple cosmetic surgeries, because like I said, he was trying to start his modeling career because he just felt like he was the bee's knees. But he didn't do it for me. I just thought he was a really strange, odd looking man. Getting into his foolishness, in 2012, he uploads this video. Well, before we get to that, he uploaded a video of him playing with these two kittens. This is kind of what started it all. You know, when they say with these serial killers, they say it always starts with them abusing animals. And that's precisely what started with this. And just like what was crazy is that he kept documenting this on YouTube and uploading these videos. Not necessarily, I'm guessing YouTube, but it would be YouTube or YouTube-like forums. So that way he could, you know, you could see him, because YouTube immediately would end up striking it and taking it down and all that. But so he uploaded this video of him playing with these two kittens, these two adorable little kittens. And see, when I was watching this, I was like, if they show him actually killing these cats, I'm gonna turn it off, because I don't want to watch that. That really would mess with me, because I'm a huge animal lover. But they did not show that part. They did, however, show it, you know, after they were deceased. They did show that, which was bad enough. But what he did was he uploaded this video of him playing with these cats at first, and then he ends up putting them in one of those vacuum seal bags, you know, that you put in like for your meat and your fruit or whatever. If you want to freeze stuff, you put it in there in the bag, and then you suck the air out with the little vacuum thing. He put the cats in there, the kittens, not even cats, they were kittens. And then he sucked all the air out and then watched them stop breathing. Basically watched them die. And uploaded it. And the people were just outraged with this, you know. And that's pretty much what the whole Don't F With Cats is about. Is a group of people basically trying to figure out who he is, because they were so upset about him abusing these cats. These innocent kittens who did absolutely nothing to him. Just sick. Sick. Oh, he uploads that one. I believe he uploads a second video at some point of another cat, where this time he has one cat and has the cat taped to like this stick or this pole, and he has a tub full of water, and he goes in there and actually puts the cat underwater until the cat drowns. Ugh. He's toying with people because he knows that they're looking for him. Like I said, he is loving this attention. He is literally loving all of this attention he's getting from these videos, from these people, this group of people who are trying to find him. He is like basically catch me if you can. Something else that was interesting about him from his childhood, when they were interviewing his mom in the documentary, was he seemed to be obsessed with like a lot of the older like crime movies. Like he loved what was it? Not Pulp. It wasn't Pulp Fiction. It was I can't think of the movie. I'll put it here somewhere on the video because I can't think of it right now. But he would seem to mirror a lot of his actions and his lifestyle after these movies that he really, really loved as a kid. And what we found out is that he watched a lot of television. It really reminded me when I was watching the documentary. It reminded me, and it gave me a Cable Guy kind of feel. You know, if you've seen Jim Carrey in the Cable Guy, that's what it was giving me. It really was giving me Cable Guy because that's what he did. You know, he kind of did the same thing, where he watched all the movies and then his whole life became about him playing these different characters that he created from all the television he was watching. So that was his babysitter. But that kind of seems like that's what it was. Ultimately, it escalates, which is what ends up happening, and how he ends up getting, you know, the authorities end up getting involved is because it escalates to him ultimately actually killing a human. It goes beyond the cats to now he's killed an actual human being. I think his name was June Lee. And he solicited him through a Craigslist ad. It seemed like as like an escort service, like they were trying to go have some fun. And when he gets him, lures him up through the ad, and they are hanging out, they're doing whatever it is they were gonna do, or they thought they were, or June Lee thought they were gonna do, and then ultimately he ends up drugging him and ties him up, and then ends up stabbing him. I think he uploads this. He calls this video "One Lunatic, One Ice Pick" or something like that. And he ties him up and just stabs him repeatedly until he kills him. He again records this, and then he brings in a puppy, which is weird. He just has this weird thing with animals. I'm like, bruh, like really? Why? He brings in the puppy, and ultimately he does kill the dog. And it is said it was not released to the public, but in the video he also, after he kills June Lee, he actually commits, you know, necrophilia with his, you know, he ends up chopping him up and mailing his various body parts to the 2 political parties and then to some schools around town or around the country. He just starts mailing his body parts off. And then of course this is now the authorities are in full time. They're like, well, we need to figure out what can we do to catch this fool, because it's escalated. It's escalated now. We are involved. We are very much involved because we can't ignore it now because you didn't kill somebody. He spends the subsequent days, you know, evading arrest and evading and pretty much toying with everybody. And the thing I didn't understand is that when he was booking these flights, because he went from one place, he was in Toronto, then he went to I think London, and he's like literally just jet setting all over the place. But he's booking all of these flights and stuff in his name, and I'm just like, where they do that at? Like, bruh, like if you, I mean, I understand, you know, you trying to get away, but you know, if I personally, I mean, not that I'm out here killing nobody or nothing, but I'm saying if I'm trying to get away with committing a crime, the last thing I'm gonna do is book a flight in my name, because I'm trying to get away. But I guess that's that narcissism that he had, because he looked like he was like a perfect candidate for narcissism. He was also diagnosed with other things as well, but I'm focusing on the schizophrenia for this video. But yeah, he just thought he couldn't get caught. He's like, ain't nobody gonna catch me. He also was a fan of the movie Catch Me If You Can. If you've seen that with Leonardo DiCaprio. He just literally thought his whole life was he would emulate different characters in his favorite movies. Like even the way that he would play out his crimes. Everything was carefully thought out, and you could reference, like literally when they started picking everything apart, you literally could pinpoint where he got different pieces from, like which movie this. As a matter of fact, that's how some of the people who were involved, they kind of helped the FBI, because they figured out where he was going next, because of he had a pattern. And they just figured, like, out of the movies that he likes and out of what he's saying in his little notes and stuff, they said, well, the obvious next place is going to be Paris. And that's exactly where he went. He's basically living his best life there in Paris. He's living it up. He's gone to the little sex part of town, and, you know, trying to have him a little fun with a little, you know, a little Splacavelli. That's a reference for my old heads, my old R&B heads. If you're a youngster, you ain't gonna understand what that is. If you have seen the documentary Don't F With Cats, I didn't understand this part of the documentary. So they're looking for him, you know, and they're trying to find him or whatever. And so they end up tipping the media off that he's there. And I just didn't, I think if for me, I wouldn't, I mean, maybe it was for the protection so people wouldn't get, you know, if they saw him or whatever, they would know how to be careful. But I was just kind of confused, because I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily would have wanted to announce it so that way he can come back to the hotel and we can catch him. Because when they put it on there, somebody tipped him off and said, yeah, they know that you're in Paris, they're looking for you. And then he flees again. He leaves Paris and then flees to Germany. I want to talk a little bit about his mom before we get into his capture. His mom was a very peculiar woman, because she was very angry at the she was very angry at the folks that were outraged by him in the cat video, where he was, you know, messing with the cats, right? He was effing with the cats, basically. His mom was very, very upset at them for tracking her son down and you know, and spilling the tea. And I was just like, ma'am, your son literally is hurting innocent animals and committing all kinds of crimes, and you are upset about that? Like, girl, what? He was real butthurt because they had been tracking him and helping the authorities to find him. And so she really struck me as one of those not my child parents. And not my child parents are basically parents who, no matter what somebody tells them their child did, they gonna say, nope, my child wouldn't do that. My child's innocent. My child's innocent. My child would never do nothing like that. And it's like, baby, sweetie, your child has already been in jail and been in trouble for, you know, committing all kinds of fraud and crimes. So I don't know why the heck you don't think that you think he's this perfect angel, because he's not. And then she saw the video of him. Now, you know good and dang well this is your kid. So she kept saying that the man in the video with the kittens was somebody who looked like her son, that was not her son. And I'm just like, girl, are you serious? Are you serious? You know what your kid look like. I'm like, the people who don't even know your kid know that that's your kid. You trying to say that that's a man that looks like your kid. But she seems like she was the one. Maybe it was guilt on her part, because she just seems like she was really not really the best mom. especially if you putting your kids outside in the cold because they making a mess. I mean, you're not about to be getting no Mom of the Year awards, ma'am, because I don't know anybody who puts their kids in the cold or puts them out. I don't care if it was the cold or the heat, but just puts her kids out because they're making a mess. It's like, that's what kids do. So you shouldn't have had them if you didn't want them to. If you wanted them to be perfect little angels. But if my child was out here killing people, as much as it would pain me to do so, I would have to. I think I would have to turn my child in, because I couldn't have that on my conscience. I couldn't have that on my conscience. And then for me, I'd be like, well, hell, I don't know if this little dude or this little chick got mad at me one day for not doing something right. I ain't trying to be, victim number, whatever number, So I think I might have to turn you in. Sorry. Because I don't want to go down to the pokey either. I ain't trying to take a ride down the county. What's interesting, though, in these cases is that it's just very interesting to me how the neglect is like a big thing for all of these kids. Neglect is such a big thing, and not just for the schizophrenia, but just for serial killers in general, is that it always comes down to them, first of all, messing around with animals. But from Jeffrey Dahmer to Franklin Floyd to this man, till Eric Newman or Luka Magnotta, they all have in common with that they were neglected at some point in time in their childhood, which is very, very interesting to me. Neglect is something you don't realize how important it is for a child to have, a nurturing relationship, with their parents, and then these are all men too, especially when it comes to their moms. And it seems like their moms always, they always a little crazy. We definitely know Jeffrey's mom was crazy. Let me not say crazy, because I'm not trying to be offensive, but she did. She had some stuff going on. I'm not trying to be offensive, but she did have some stuff going on. And I think for me, I like to use the word crazy. Like Judge Mathis, if you watch Judge Mathis, Judge Mathis will call you a crackhead in a second. But he's like, I only call you that if you're not in recovery. So I'm gonna use the same thing, logic as him. I'm gonna only call you crazy if you're not out here trying to get help. If you ain't trying to do nothing about it, then yeah, you crazy. If you know that you seem like and you feel like things are getting out of control for you, then you need to go do something about it. And so he just quit going altogether and just said, well, I'm gonna do my own thing. I don't care nothing about what y'all talking about. And then he landed his behind in jail for committing murder. It was just this story just really just irritated the hell out of me. I'm just like, this fool here is crazy. It's not as detailed as some of the other stories, because it just was really open and shut. He was a troubled teen, a troubled child, bullied, grew up, started dabbling in crime, got a slap on the wrist, as a lot of them do. Although Franklin Floyd didn't get a slap on the wrist, but he was just, evil was just oozing out of his damn pores. But it seems like they just kind of get like a little slap on the wrist, or the correction or the intended correction doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and they come out much worse than when they went in. This dude here, the cat thing, and that's something else that was interesting though, because it really, I don't know why that is, but I don't know why it's like that with animals, but it shouldn't be. But when animal, I don't know, I'm almost ashamed to say this, but I was really enraged about those animals, those cats, those innocent kittens. Not saying that I wasn't enraged about him killing that, but I don't know. It's just something about seeing the innocent animals, and they, they have literally done nothing. Not saying that June Lee had done anything, but he was there, after responding to an ad for sex. So he wasn't there, to go bake cookies and play chess. One of his friends was upset because he said it just was like everybody was so focused on Luka that he doesn't feel like his friend June Lee got the proper respect, you know, that he should have, or media attention that his case, you know, that they lost him, that they got the proper media attention that he deserved, because he was also important. But everybody was so focused on Luka and his antics that they just that June Lee's, you know, life and his death just kind of fell by the wayside, and his friend was, you know, feeling a way about that. This is another unfortunate case. It's just really unfortunate for somebody to be that messed up in the head, and I think what makes this one so bad and so egregious is that he knew he had something going on upstairs, and he refused to keep his, you know, to keep taking his meds, to keep making sure that he was doing what he needed to do to be okay. You know, it's one thing to go on and not know that you have, you know, whatever mental illness, but when you absolutely know that you have a mental illness and you just go allow yourself to go around and it's unchecked, I think that, you know, he should be at some extra time should be added for that. And speaking of his time, this fool actually he didn't even get life. I think he got like 25 years or something like that. I was just so shocked and appalled at the way that he killed that man. And not only killed that man, he had animal cruelty on top of that, with him killing those poor innocent animals and mailing body parts to, you know, government agencies, you know, and then tampering with the mail with all these body parts, and they intercepted the ones that he was sending to the different schools. And I'm just like, he's done all of this, and all that warrants is 25 years. That to me, and then you know that you murdered somebody on top of all of that. It's like, that's all he gets is just 25 years? Like, what? That really ticked me off. I was like, I really don't understand what this is, but okay. So I went back and looked at my notes. Yeah, he got 25 years and 19 years that were served concurrently. So they were served right at the same time. So basically he got 25 years. And after 25 years, he'll be eligible for parole. And I thought that was just some complete and utter BS. Because if it was up for me, I would have been like electric chair. So please, where's the firing squad? I really would love to hear with these stories. And I guess it's more the siblings probably are like, like Jeffrey Dahmer's brother was like, I'm changing my name. I don't want none of y'all to be associated. I don't want to be associated with that Dahmer last name at all. So I'm changing my name so nobody will be asking me if I'm related to you know who. And so I'm wondering, you know, well, I guess because Luka changed his name, so his siblings still have the last name Newman. But I really would love to hear the side of the siblings, you know, because it's like they grew up, a lot of them, you know, they all grew up in the same household and were subject to the same types of abuse or neglect. And it's like, or maybe they weren't, you know. So I would love to hear their side of things, to be like, well, why, you know, what was the difference? What was your experience like growing up in the same household? That's something that's really interesting to me. But I've noticed a lot of siblings are like, I don't know that fool. I really recommend you go watch this docuseries before Netflix takes it down, because it was so interesting. Because like I said, I'm always interested in what their home life is like. Like what were they like before they turned into these serial killers or these murderers? Like, what was their life like? You know, what were they doing beforehand? And I can just tell instantly that his mom was a huge enabler. And I feel like a lot of that with her was the guilt. The guilt that she felt. She probably felt responsible because she didn't make his home life, you know, that much better. And I think she probably feels, and I'm sure a lot of parents feel guilt. Even if you have a child and you give them the perfect childhood, I guess if they do become a killer or a murderer, I guess it's just hard not to feel some kind of responsibility I almost started to tell y'all the story, but I'm like, no, I'm not gonna put myself out there. I might tell it. I don't know. Not today. But my mom has always told me, she said that I broke her up from that at a very early age from talking about what your child will or won't do. Because she was like, I had a mouth on me when I was younger, and I would say all kinds of inappropriate stuff. And at the time, in my defense, I didn't think that it was inappropriate, but it was. And then like now, I cringe at some of the stuff that I said. Because at the time, I didn't understand what I said that was so, you know, why was it so bad? Because I'm like, I don't know. I was like, well, they say it on TV all the time or in the movies, so I don't understand why it's so bad. I've heard y'all say this particular word before, so what? Why is y'all, you know, why are y'all tripping? Like, what's the problem? I say that to say my mom was like, you broke me up from saying my child won't do this. Because when they told her some of the stuff that I've said at school and I got in trouble for some of the stuff that I said at school, if she had bet her entire life savings that no, my child would never say nothing like that, we would have been on the street, okay? We wouldn't have had no money because, yeah, I said it. And she was just so shocked. She was like, I cannot believe that. I think that's part of the reason why I turned out good, because my mom was not one of those not my child mothers. She was like, I don't know, you know, I'm going to talk to her and ask her. And I was an honest child. I pretty much would tell the truth. I was like, yeah, I said it. Please don't whoop me. Please don't whoop me. Because I told the truth. Please don't whoop me. I mean, I still got to whoop me, but I asked. It didn't help. But I'm actually going to pop these on off camera and I'm going to be right back. So I took a trip to Ulta. Shout out to Ulta. And I got these new NYX Shine Loud. It's like a liquid lip color and then like a clear gloss to put on top. So it's supposed to last, I want to say, I think that they said for like 16 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to put this on now. I was going to do red because I always do red. That's like my favorite lip color. I'm going to do this one real quick. That was the Luka Magnotta case. And man, there are so many similarities between him and Franklin Floyd that it's crazy. So, but the moral of this story is, I'm going to put this mascara on to the bottom. But the moral of the story is that if you feel like something is wrong, please go get help. You know, please don't wait until, you know, things go south and, you know, things are beyond repair or you've gotten in trouble or whatever. If you feel like something is going on with you mentally, go get help. There's no shame in getting help. If something isn't right, if you feel like something isn't right, if you feel like you have been sad consistently for weeks, that's not normal. Go get yourself checked out. Go to your doctor. Start with your primary care physician and talk to them about what's going on. You know, because I honestly feel that in this particular case, he kept on with his mental health regimen and taking his pills and keeping in contact with his psychiatrist and or his therapist. I feel like this probably wouldn't have happened. When you get to feeling better, and especially if you're on depression meds, because once you get on antidepressants, there is a period where you're going to start feeling really, really good. Like your mood is going to elevate. Things are going to feel different. Your world's going to feel a lot brighter than it's been. And that's when people are tempted to stop taking their medication. That's probably what happened with Luka. And so don't do that. Keep taking it, because if you stop taking them, you can go back to where you started. And if you want to stop taking them, you need to make sure that you talk with a healthcare professional before you stop taking them. Because there's a reason, you know, especially with all these different mental health medications, a lot of them you need to taper off of them. You can't just stop cold turkey. So the whole point of this story, besides me talking about schizophrenia, is if something is wrong and you feel that something is wrong, do something about it. Act. Please act, because you don't want to go out there and do something that you can't take back because you weren't in your right frame of mind. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will be back later on in the week with my comparison video. And then I have some really good ones that I want to do and talk about. I think it's almost time for us to have a guest. So I think I want to do that too. So I'm going to be cooking something really interesting up for episode, this is episode what, 3? So episode 5. I'm gonna, yeah, I think I'm gonna do something different. So anyway, again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys